Thank you and welcome everyone. Now I can't see everyone's videos, but I think Matt is going to turn everyone on. Hi Val, I can see you. Nice to see you. I can see Michael and I can see Simon. Hi everyone.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Well, this session is about how we do activate our small business sectors in our communities, and I think you know, we can all agree that it's been pretty tough across the world on that sector, on our smaller businesses and our bigger businesses too, actually. And so I think this is a really important session, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say. And I think first up, we're going to start off with some presentations from each city. So we do have Michael Law, who is a councillor at Whanganui District Council, a new councillor, newly inducted in the at the end of last year. That's right. Michael, is that your first term?
That is correct. Yes, brand new councillor.
So that's exciting. And we have Simon, who's from Whanganui and Partners, which is the economic development agency for Whanganui as well. And he's in charge of business there, and so that's great to hear from them. And we've got Val as well, who's the senior manager at Langley at their economic development agency, investment and business. So that's great. So first off, we're going to hear from Whanganui and have a presentation from Whanganui about what's going on there. So I think Matt will make that magic happen.
The magic.
And are you presenting together?
Yeah, tag team.
Yeah.
Great. So I think
I'm pretty jealous of Robert's wine now, though.
Yeah, it's not really too early for us.
It's not too early, no.
So I'm not sure if oh yeah, there we go. There we are. There we are. So I'll hand it over to you, Michael and Simon.
Oh.
Nice. So kia ora koutou katoa. My name is Michael Law, Councillor Michael Law. I am recently elected Councillor of Whanganui District. And my friend Simon, introduce yourself.
Good day, everyone. So I work for Whanganui Partners as a business growth advisor. I've sort of got a split role. Part of my role is funded through a central government role, which I'll talk about a bit later. But it's basically supporting small business, small medium businesses in Whanganui.
Right.
Awesome. And our presentation's on building partnerships for small business success. And I thought, what a better solution to have the council working with our CCO, which is Whanganui Partners. And also, I've worked with Whanganui Partners for about 5 years, Simon, as a partner, I guess, in terms of how we talk about technology and small businesses and whatever else comes to our mind at the time. So we've combined our speeches on purpose for that reason. Hope you all enjoy it. So the benefits of partnership. Next slide, please. I want to first of all talk about our small businesses are so vital. They're the beating heart of most of our cities. Yet they're the ones who are always left behind. Now, 10 years ago, we had a great situation where they were streaming ahead through competitive advantages, segmenting their customers and getting the edge on large corporations. The large corporations globally have now cottoned onto this, and they're using the same tools that smaller startups are doing. During COVID, I think we all noticed small businesses struggled. The ones who didn't make the digital leap prior to COVID, we had hairdressers who couldn't do haircuts because they had no booking systems. We had systems where there was no automation. We had sales and inquiry forms where the new generation are just used to getting it online. So the digital heart is no longer a nice to have, it's a must have. And one of the benefits that we find with partnerships, not only between the council and Whanganui and Partners, but Whanganui and Partners, is finding the adequate partnerships to provide access to the latest technology. And this is something that you can't do alone. You cannot keep up with the compounding changes in technology. You need to find the experts who know and live and breathe that technology. And then you need to showcase what it actually what happens. Now, why is this important? Humans love change, but they like changing slowly. And technology is not changing slowly. We're in the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution, and we are going to see the neural network of all these industries combine. And the companies that adapt the fastest will be the ones that survive. Now, do we want our local businesses to survive? We want them to thrive. And to do that, we just show them how much productivity and efficiency you can gain through leveraging digital technologies, different digital technologies. It's not just one size fits all. And you will get increased competitiveness and market share. And this is one thing I talk to a lot of my clients on. It's not so much now about serving locals, it's about serving the segmentation, which could be locals in different areas. My clients range from New Zealand to Australia to Singapore to UK. It's the same type of customer, but they're global. And it can only happen if we have digital enabled technologies. And you can only have that happening if local government partners with the right people to adequately facilitate those changes. So we know the world's changing faster, but there is an upside to this. We know that software as a service, the prices have come down, they're segmented, it's no longer just one platform for all. We are seeing micro software as a service, allowing AI, machine learning, automation tools, customer-centric white labeling tools are now almost free. And this is something that big corporations will never be able to have due to data sovereignty and IP regulations. Small businesses, you have the opportunity to be able to do that. Next slide, please. So my last slide is around collaboration between local government and tech companies. Next slide, please. Now, one of the models that we have in Whanganui is that we have a separate CCO, which is a council-controlled organization called Whanganui Partners. And this allows them to freely go out and create these partnerships with tech companies, with innovators, with movers and shakers. Local governments and agencies can facilitate partnerships and provide support. We're not there as the teachers. We don't even need to be the subject matter experts. We are there to facilitate the learning and development to create the next Silicon Valley, the next amazing city, the next regional development innovation hub for our people for better outcomes. Tech companies, they offer expertise and resources. These are things we'll never have in-house. My company, Nectar, it focuses on AI and machine learning algorithms. That's not something that's going to ever happen in Whanganui Partners or in Whanganui District Council, but they can leverage the ideas from just having a cup of tea with me. And then I can show other companies how to leverage the technology. And both parties can work together to create thriving ecosystems for small businesses. And what does this mean? It means 1 + 1 is 3. And all small businesses know this. The power is in your network. And now we can get a globalized network run locally, and they can thrive with value-added products. Next slide for Simon, please.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Mike. I guess, yeah, it's always good to talk about partnerships, but I find it's quite good to have some tangible success stories from businesses that have been there and done that before. So can you just go to the next slide, please? So Airbnb, obviously not a small business now, but I'm just talking from a global scale. Once upon a time, they were a small business, and then I'll talk a little bit about some local examples from a Whanganui perspective. So I guess Airbnb, we're going right back to their foundation back in 2008. They were those first 2 years they were struggling to gain market share and trying to attract both hosts and guests to their platform. So in the early days, they decided to partner with Craigslist, an online classified ad program for selling services and products. So they partnered with them, and what that enabled them to do is gain access to Craigslist's entire basically database of clients. And through this partnership, in the first year alone, they managed to gain 500,000 new bookings through Airbnb alone. So again, huge business now, but way back when, small business partnering with a large organization, and it's given them the ability to grow and become what it is today, essentially. And then we go, I'll wind it back a little bit to a regional perspective into the hairdressers that Michael spoke about, and the bakers, the local florist. The examples that I've seen locally is the local food outlet. They don't have the ability to be able to deliver the food themselves. Don't have the resources, capability, employing other staff, just not feasible. So they partner with companies like Deliver Easy. Then we've got the local florist wants to be able to sell online. Again, it's a whole thing, creating an e-commerce thing. So they partner with Shopify to build their online platform. And then, of course, we've got the hairdresser, has no ability to take bookings, has been on the phone, wants to be able to sort of get rid of that person that just is taking phone calls. So they implement an online booking system and partner with one of those booking platforms to be able to do that. Let's go to the next slide, please. So I guess, the point I was getting at with those is the ability for small businesses that don't have resources, time, and capability to be able to partner with other organizations to be able to increase their own capabilities. So I guess how can we do that as local government? There's a few things that we do locally in Whanganui. So we've got business development centres. Well, we've only got one. I don't know why I've got plural there, but I guess globally there's a whole ton of business development centres. But locally we've got something called the Back House. The Back House is essentially they've got co-working space down there. They run business information sessions. It's all around that educating business owners and trying to increase their capabilities and skills through that sort of network. They also, throughout that business development centre, they've got networking events, so entrepreneur meetups and things of that nature to help combine people and introduce people to new partnerships. Then incubators and accelerators. So we've run a couple here in the past, and now the Back House is also taking on that incubator and accelerator program, and that's again helping those businesses in that startup space, really sort of trying to leverage partnerships with other businesses to help grow them and take them to those next level. Economic development agencies. So I'm sure everyone's heard this one before. Grow, attract, and retain. That's I guess most economic development agencies around the globe. That's their strategy. That's our strategy. And we do what we can in-house to really attract businesses, retain our talent, and then obviously grow our current businesses. Industry specific programs. So we've got a lean cluster here, so we help support them through various resources, and sort of I guess have a hub of resources which we can then extend out to them and help them grow if they're into lean manufacturing. And the last one, grants and funding. So locally we've implemented a grant called the Amplify grant, where businesses can apply, and the fund basically gives them $4,000 to spend. It's very kind of unique, but not that unique in the terms that they can spend it on whatever they want within the business. So if they need a new computer to be able to do their finances, or they need a new camera to be able to take pictures and put them online, or they might even need a new website. So it enables them to do that one-off purchase, which they potentially may not have been able to afford. So that, in a nutshell, that's some of the support services we offer to try and grow our local businesses here.
Thank you.
Simon and Michael. Yeah, that's really interesting, and a lot of things that you're doing there. I wondered with the your examples of partnerships that you've talked about in your presentation, do you have any examples of where you are working with tech companies? So you've got your own company, Michael, that you you know, that has as a tech company and that is helping small businesses. Are there some other companies or examples that you can talk to us about that local business are getting to connect with through your agency, or
I'll let Simon answer that question, but I want to quickly give an example. I have a group of 8 15-year-olds who had no idea how to develop they won an award for an idea of an app. And then at school, that's where it stops. They come to me and we're now building the app with them. We're going for the whole customer journey. We're doing the software. And this could become a business that Whanganui would never have had if it didn't have Whanganui partners connecting with a technology company to create a new business. So yeah, at the time, would you have another example?
I mean, yeah, in terms of like the training aspects, we've partnered with a couple of independent people that deliver Google workshops and helping people really sort of, I guess, grasp the understanding of what Google can enable their business goals, and helping them partner with Google that way, I guess.
Cool. And I know that Whanganui has recently been named a UNESCO City of Design, which is very exciting. Are you able to talk to us a little bit about how that intersects with technology in terms of small businesses there? I know you've got a lot of design and artists and designers, you know, a lot of creatives are in Whanganui. Can you think of any examples of how technology kind of enables that? I mean, even I guess the whole process of becoming a city of design.
Yeah, my colleague who yeah, she would be a better place to talk about this. She helped well, she did pretty much all of the groundwork to to make us a UNESCO City of Design. Her name's Dr. Emma Bugden, but in a nutshell, some of the things we're doing around that is creating a Made in Whanganui badge that people can use on their products and services. But then in terms of the tech, it's very, very early days on this UNESCO City. We've sort of only announced it last year. So yeah, we're very early days on what it means for our city. But yeah, there's absolutely opportunities through, like, I guess, 3D printing. There's very, very early days, but there's lots of opportunities.
Yeah, Simon's completely correct. Very early days. I'm seeing some very exciting things happening because design isn't just a painting on a wall or art pieces. It's game design. It's beautification of customer flows. It's innovative processes that create value to society. Everyone's sort of buzzing about what that means to them and their industries. And I look forward to seeing what happens by next year.
Yeah, lovely. And I love it that you do have one of your small businesses there, GDM, I think they're still there, that they said GDM stands for Good Design Matters. So that's quite a nice name for business. Thank you, Simon and Michael. Let's go over to Val. Welcome, Val. Lovely that you're here from Langley. It's really late over there, I know, and so appreciate you coming in and talking to us this evening, and looking forward to your presentation. So I think we'll get into that, and Matt will pop something on the screen, and I'll mute myself and let you get into it, and then I'll ask you some questions about it.
Sure. I'll share my screen, but before I do that, I just want to thank ICF for the opportunity to join the Smart21 tonight. And here, I'll give it. All right. So for the Township of Langley, just to provide everybody with just a little bit of context about who we are and where we are. So the Township of Langley is located on the west coast of Canada in British Columbia. If you want to come out and visit us, we're about a 45-minute drive from Vancouver. We are bounded to the south by the Canada-US border and to the north by the Fraser River. Our current population is about 137,000 people, and we are projected to be 250,000 by 2030, which is fast approaching. Today, there are about 7,000 licensed businesses in our community, and they range in a broad sense of industry. We have key sectors in aerospace, advanced manufacturing, construction, agriculture, agri-tech, tourism and sport hosting, retail, as well as transportation. And interestingly, for our community, 75% of our land mass is protected lands. So they are protected agricultural lands, which makes the wonderful world of business and the economy certainly interesting. What we've found in terms of activating small business over the last few years, and especially with COVID providing a bit of a dynamic that no one expected, our strategy in working with our small businesses in our community is a combination of coupling our long-term planning with some dynamic programming. So at the end of 2019, we were in the process of developing an economic development strategy, 5-year strategy, like many communities do, and we decided to stop once the pandemic hit. And we have kind of re-engineered that 5-year planning into an economic priorities plan that covers all sectors. So we're looking at investment attraction in all of the anchor sectors that are here in the township, workforce development, like many other communities, placemaking, quality of life, which is becoming never more important, targeted land development, etc. And then combining that with some dynamic programming, just kind of based on the ebbs and flows of the economy and the business community here in Langley. I think over the last couple of years, the thing that we found the most when working with our business community is the criticality of engagement. So we know that engaging our small businesses has really been pivotal for our local economy, having opportunities to connect our business associations. We have a number of organizations as well as sector organizations in the community, and rallying them together so that we're all talking about the same things and potentially finding opportunities to collaborate. We're having one within the first quarter here of 2023. Every year we conduct business walks. So we go door to door to a specific business or commercial area of the township. And that has also been critical in developing relationships with the business community. All of those touch points are really showing to be essential. And what we've learned the most is just that we need to learn and adapt. Over the last few years, both at the federal level and at the provincial level, there have been a lot of programming that has become available as a result of COVID for small business, but it's been very hard for them to be able to keep pace with all that is happening and all that is available to them. So as new programs are identified or funding opportunities are there, we listen to what the business community is in need of, we offer our assistance, and we adapt our programming accordingly. I've just decided to include some potential examples that kind of illustrate some of the work that we've been doing the last couple of years, insofar as helping to illustrate how we have activated small business. So if I look back at our business walk 2 years ago, actually just at the end of 2019, we went to approximately 140 businesses in the commercial core of one particular area of the township, and we surveyed them. What we learned was 70% of those businesses did not have a business emergency plan. They were not prepared for whatever emergency was coming their way. And what happened in the first quarter of 2020? We had a pandemic. What we did was we developed a number of resources that we made available to the businesses, either through our website or by calling them and letting them know that we had them available for their access. And we also put together business resiliency tips, which we literally delivered to 7,000 businesses in our community to try and help them through this. So the business community spoke to us. They told us they needed help. We developed the tools and we make them available today. The supply chain resiliency project is another interesting project. I heard Rose talk about supply chain issues. I don't think that word is not in anybody's vocabulary. At the beginning of the pandemic, within the first half of the year, Canada put a call out to manufacturers specifically for PPE at that time. But Canada soon realized that we had systemic gaps in advanced manufacturing, whether it was complete products that were just simply not available or took months to come, or if it was actually the inputs required to produce particular materials. In 2022 or 2021 and 2022, we conducted a supply chain resiliency project with the BC Tech Association, as well as 2 neighboring municipalities, the city of Surrey and the city of Richmond. And what we did was we went out to manufacturers to understand what they were actually capable of doing and what capacities they could potentially hold. So amongst the 3 jurisdictions, we have approximately 70% of BC's manufacturing capacity. And through that project, we were able to really glean out where our strengths were, where gaps were, and yet where opportunities equally existed. As part of that project, we also built a de-risking emerging market opportunity toolkit for small businesses in the manufacturing realm. And these are businesses that have 10 or less employees. This de-risking toolkit that we put together for them was built with them. So we actually had manufacturers at the table helping us to understand what are some of the challenges that they experience when they're considering investing or diversifying or completely pivoting their business. And how we could try and make that easier for them to kind of step them through that process. So that toolkit is available for all manufacturers. It's on our website, and it is a step-by-step process that manufacturers can complete. And as a follow-up, we are doing an annual activation. We're actually going back to those 70 businesses in the township, 400 across the region, and trying to continue to not only build a relationship, but to understand where they are in their business investment. And then finally, the agricultural inventory and capacity review. That's another project that is also quite interesting, or at least to me. You may recall for some of you that at the end of 2021, in December 2021, British Columbia experienced what we now call an atmospheric river. We had devastating flooding in the lower mainland and Fraser Valley of British Columbia, to the extent that it washed out the road system that connected us to the rest of Canada. We had homes and farms that were destroyed. We had tens of thousands of livestock that lost their lives, and we had crops that were permanently damaged. And that told us in a second how critical our food system is, not only here in British Columbia, but everywhere. So as part of that project, we decided we were going to try to understand Langley's agriculture inventory and our capacity here for food security. And interestingly enough, in British Columbia, at the provincial or state level for those in the international audience, farms and agriculture are actually governed by the provincial government. So a farm business does not require a municipal business license. So how do you find what you don't know? So this was the goal of the project, was to find those small farms and small agricultural businesses in our community, understand what they are doing, what they could be doing, and what are the barriers that they were coming up against in expanding their farm or their agricultural business. This project actually just wrapped up at the end of December, so we're in the process of looking through the lessons learned and making considerations going forward. But it definitely told us that there's lots of room for improvement. And the project work that we've done here is certainly not centric to the township. We know that this is a model that could be replicated elsewhere. So that's just some of the things that we are doing to activate small business here in the township of Langley.
Wow, that was a lot, Val. And yeah, that sounds, you know, you're doing an amazing amount there. I really liked what you said about, you know, engaging with the businesses, being critical to identifying those opportunities to collaborate with them. I think it's really similar to what Whanganui and Partners was, you know, and Whanganui is saying as well. And the door-to-door thing is really interesting, isn't it? And the lack of data or an easy place to find which businesses are there. I think that you know, we all do struggle with that, and it really does come down to a door knocking kind of activity at some stage, and yes. I think actually that's something that you know, I found you know, that ICF actually really helped with in Whanganui, when Whanganui was going through the ICF journey, you know, with Smart21 and Top 7, that actually doing those applications for the awards made you look for examples, which meant you had to go out and knock on doors, and the more you did that and had to get out of the office, off your chair and out of your ivory tower and out into the community and seeing who's there and hearing their stories and how they were you know, and what they really needed from local government as well. I think yeah, I really acknowledge your work there, because it is a huge job to do it. It's not our normal comfort work of you know, sitting at a desk in a council office. So that's great that you've done that. And you know, you might have seen in the news as well that New Zealand has also really suffered from an incredibly tragic flooding event over the last week, yes. Actually. And, you know, we're starting to look at empty supermarket shelves and things as well. So really interesting. Be interesting to talk to you later, actually. Yeah. And catch up about that. I just, I wanted to talk, I know you're in agriculture. Actually, we've got two kind of cities today, or districts that are have a lot of agriculture at the base of them. And I just wanted to ask you as well, what sort of, you know, have you looked at the technology needs across Langley? I mean, you will have, because you're in the ICF. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
About that? Yeah. Like
sure. So, so the township as a municipality, we are a member jurisdiction of the Metro Vancouver region. So Metro Vancouver as a whole has an investment Vancouver arm, if you will. So they're really looking at the investment attraction piece and what are some of the kind of criticalities in sector development here, and agri-tech being one, of course, right? So how do we you know, how do we leverage technology in a way that is actually beneficial for farming, crop predictability, automation of various types of processes, ways to encourage young people to actually want to become part of agriculture and agri-tech. So we most definitely have done that at a regional level. In the Fraser Valley, there are two different and very specific centers of excellence. So we have a center of excellence on agriculture, which is looking at kind of all pieces of agriculture and how do we help to kind of, I guess, if you will, innovate in a way that is not compromising of the land. And we also have SFU, our Simon Fraser University has a new BC Center for Agri-Tech Innovation, which has launched within, I'd say, probably the last 6 months. And it really is about matching businesses looking to innovate and grow using technology. It was interesting to me to learn about a farm here in the Fraser Valley that is a beef farm, so cattle. They were looking how to reduce emissions produced by livestock. There's a company on Vancouver Island that grows seaweed, and they were actually able to make a partnership that will help through feeding the cattle. Seaweed will actually help to do emission reduction. So, it's not something that,
We're also looking at that in South Taranaki at the moment. So that's really interesting, how things around the world
So, I mean,
agriculture,
I think really technology is really, it is becoming clearer that we really need this from a predictability perspective. We need to have the ability to have year-round crops. And that's certainly not the case with climate change. So we really need to be looking at this with a different lens. And traditionally, I think farmers in our region are scared of the technological. These are multi-generational farms. And so I think there's always been maybe a little bit of fear, but I think it's our duty as economic developers to help demystify some of the myths and to better connect them to it.
I think that's probably a global phenomenon as well. I think we're certainly here in New Zealand as well, to some extent fond of doing it how it's always been done, especially on, on a farm. You do it how your parents did it, potentially, but, there's definitely some innovation that comes in with that as well. And I guess here in South Taranaki, we've just opened the Foundry Taranaki, which is a co-working space with a whole lot of events and kind of the it's a creative space that is looking to foster that kind of culture of innovation and success in small businesses and stuff. I guess, Simon, you talked about the back house and how that has that kind of opportunities for people to collaborate and work together and has acceleration programs and things like that. How does is that a private organisation that's doing that, or is that linked to the council? Have you got a local government?
Well, it's a combination between UCOL and Whanganui partners. So eventually it was. So we sort of I guess we're heavily involved. Whanganui partners were heavily involved in the. We sort of identified that there's all these places around New Zealand that offer this kind of support. Why isn't there one in Whanganui, and how can we bring one here? So we sort of had a lot in the founding of the back house, but now the back house is an independent trust that has it's got a board member from UCOL and a board member from local iwi representatives, and a board member from Whanganui partners. So
right,
yeah.
So that's really that. I guess the Intelligent Community Forum talks about the triple helix of government, education, and business. So that really is a great example of how that works. Even if you're not into the nitty-gritty of it, you've set it up and it's going on its own. That sounds like a great example of how that connection between those three, that triple helix model, really works well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's early days, but we're going to get there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's early days for us here too, in South Taranaki with our one, but I think it's looking really exciting. And actually, even just in the opening of it, which was only a couple of weeks ago, the amount of people who were coming in who I'd never seen before, like people I hadn't met before, just suddenly converged. And yeah, I think it's really an interesting time. People are excited to be out, having the opportunity to have a space where they can work and connect with other people and maybe grow an idea that might not be so exciting when you're just by yourself at home and there isn't someone else to talk to. Val, do you have something like that in your district? Sort of a co-working space or a space or events that you run that bring people together like that?
Not to the same extent that you are talking about. I mean, co-working space for sure. I think we definitely have an entrepreneurial, innovator type community here in the Fraser Valley, but involving academia as well. I would have to say Simon Fraser's BC Centre for Agritech Innovation would be probably the best example.
Yeah. I think we might need to wrap up. So I guess I'll just go for, is Michael still there? Yeah, we might go for just a last word on, you know, what do you see as the most important thing, you know, that local government can do to really connect, you know, help smaller businesses get connected and get digital. Michael, if we go to you first.
Oh, the most important thing that local government can do is to acknowledge the fact that you're not the expert, that the experts are out there, that you're facilitating the better outcomes for your people through connecting with the people who actually know the answers. And we get that in Whanganui, but I've seen many councils around the world who want to be the expert at everything. If you try to serve everyone, you end up serving no one.
Right. Simon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think just reiterating Michael's point, but yeah, just being able to listen. It's a huge you know, so many councils around you know, historically have done community engagement and they're not listened. So it's all about making sure that we're getting that feedback and doing what Val said, doing those walkarounds. That's huge. Hat off to you. We've done that at some point, and again, the same thing. You just get amazing results, amazing stories come out of the community that you don't hear. So just being on the ground, getting out of the office, and actually having those conversations is a huge part, I reckon.
Lovely. And Val.
I would just say I think relationship development is a really critical piece. I think oftentimes we think we know the issues or the challenges that businesses face, and we make assumptions and we build a path, but we haven't included business in this process, right? And especially for the smaller ones. So I would say that we really need to listen and understand what some of the challenges are. And then, as Michael says, become a facilitator. So connect them to the resources that they need, not try and solve the issues ourselves. We certainly aren't the expert, but we do have access to a network that really can be a valuable resource to the small business community.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of those statements. And I think as well, there's a level of community leadership that that sits underneath that facilitation where, you know, you can, you know, that allows you to bring different parties together and collaborate and develop some pretty exciting opportunities for people. So thank you very much to you all for showing up. For us in New Zealand, it's not quite 5 p.m. in the afternoon, but for Val, it's quite late at night, and you've got another meeting to go to, Val.
Yeah.
They work very hard in Canada. No, I think that was great. Thank you very much.